Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. That's right, two videos in 1 week. Oh, I know you think I'm so cool, internet. Thank you. You're so nice. But yeah, no, I'm just trying to catch up on what I missed out on last week. So this is actually the first previews that I'm going to be doing that I think is pretty up to date. This previews book just came out yesterday. I'm recording this on Thursday, the 25th, perhaps, of February. And this previews book just came out on Wednesday, the 24th. So we're getting pretty much as up to date as I can give you guys on these previews books. And I hope you enjoy following along. We have here, as it says, the March 2016 previews book for items in shops, May 2016. This has a Valiant thing on the spine. It has a Civil War number 0 cover, and then the back cover is Scooby-Doo, which is kind of cool. So let's hop right into it. This is kind of interesting. I just wanted to stop and talk about this for just a second at the very beginning. This is something that's like a in-store convention kickoff. It's like a video conference convention sort of thing. I know the comic book store that's local to me that I bought this from is going to be doing it. So March 5th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You should check if you're interested in hearing any of these people speak. Kelly Sue DeConnick, Mike Diodato is a pretty famous artist. Matt Fraction, who's married to Kelly Sue and is also a writer. Rick Remender, who's pretty awesome. Scotty Young, I like his artwork a lot. So basically, if you are interested in hearing any of these publisher panels or special guest stuff, you should go to your local comic book store pretty soon and see if they're doing something for this day, because it looks like a lot of stores are going to be doing little video conference conventions. So that might be a cool way to start off your con season. Most cons start, there's a few that have already been going, but really from March onwards is when they really pick up. So check that out if you're interested. March 5th. Coming up pretty soon, so you'll have to get on it, but it might be neat to go and listen to some of these people talk, see what they have to say. All right, now that we've gotten through all of the beginning stuff, there was a lot this time about Free Comic Book Day and Gems of the Month and all that stuff. Let's get into the actual books. First up, as always, with Dark Horse alphabetically as the first major publisher. And we see there's some kickoff stuff for the Hellboy universe this year, Lobster Johnson miniseries. I have not read any Lobster Johnson, but written by John Arcudi, who does the most of the writing for BPRD, and Lobster Johnson also in the Hellboy Mignolaverse. And then very cool on this side, we have Hellboy in Hell number 9, and it says that this is the first part in the 2-issue conclusion of Hellboy in Hell, which is pretty cool. I have not been picking this up. I've been waiting for it to come out as a collection, so it looks like there'll be 10 issues total, and hopefully that'll get some kind of nice oversized collection from Dark Horse. And as I've said before in my previous videos, Mike Mignola, I believe, is planned to step away from comics and from Hellboy and everything after he finishes this run on Hellboy in Hell. So just hopefully a couple more months. I believe he has arthritis in his hands, and I don't think he can draw as quickly as he used to. So I don't know what the time frame is for actually finishing this series, because it's been a while. But yeah, Hellboy in Hell number 9, very cool. This looks kind of neat. I don't know anything about it actually, but Mr. X, the Modern Age limited edition hardcover by Dean Motter. I guess it's it looks like, since it's 6 by 10, 6 by 10 and 3/16, it's probably going to be like a strip. It's like a panel strip size, but this collects every Mr. X comics published by Dark Horse, which is neat. I don't know anything about it, but if it's a limited, complete collection from Dark Horse with 500 copies, it probably will go pretty quickly. So $100 is pretty high, but I might be checking that out in May when it comes out. And then on this side, we have some neat stuff. Dark Horse Presents number 22, not something that I usually collect, but I do really like this Jeff Lemire cover and the Jeff Lemire story. It looks very close to his work from Trillium, and it says that there's going to be the last surviving coven of extraterrestrial witches and the Witches of Mars. So it does have like a very Trillium science fiction stuff. So if you like Jeff Lemire, that might be a cool issue to pick up. And the Kabuki Library Edition rolls on. I have the first one from David Mack, and I really wasn't very wild about it. It's very, I don't know what the word is. It's not very illustration-y. It kind of has like this fine art collage and like abstract art bent to it. And just for me, it's not really what I like when I read comics necessarily, but the third volume is coming out in July, it says, and that'll be Another library-sized one from Dark Horse, so a 9x12, which is really nice for $40. They always do high-quality books at really good prices, so if you're interested in David Mack and Kabuki, there are collections out there for you. This looks really interesting, and when I was flipping through, I saw this. I don't know anything about it, but it says, from the co-writer of Mad Max Fury Road, Brendan McCarthy. This art is crazy. It's a Dream Gang trade paperback. It's a psychic bomb that threatens to render all of humanity catatonic. The last dream Voyager awakens. So it definitely is crazily colored, very interesting. It looks very psychedelic, and it collects Dream Gang's chapters from Dark Horse Presents 1 through 4, 7 through 10, and 14 through 17. So it looks like there were 3 separate kind of mini runs of this in the Dark Horse Presents and anthology. This just looks really, really cool. So I don't know anything about it, but for $15 with that kind of crazy art, I'll probably be picking that up when it comes out, just because it looks really interesting. Conan 32. Dark Horse, if you don't know, is basically systematically releasing every Conan story from the Marvel years, the Chronicles of Conan. So this, we're up to 250 through 258. So a lot, 32 volumes later, we're still collecting stuff. There was a lot of Conan material released by Dark Horse. Some of it, I think a lot of it is pretty cool. I mean, it definitely is not necessarily the deepest material, but if you like sword and sorcery stuff, the art on it is pretty universally fun and interesting. So that'll be a very cool thing to pick up. And the EC Archives, Tales from the Crypt, Volume 2. I've mentioned this before, but Dark Horse is doing EC reprints, and they're not doing the collected things like they have been done in the past, where you basically buy all of the Tales of the Crypt. Instead, they're doing it in individual volumes for $50 each, like their Eerie and Creepy series. So if you're into EC Comics, this is a way to collect it. I believe this is colored. Yeah, this is a colored version, so depending on how you like to look at EC, I prefer them in black and white, but if you want the colored versions, Dark Horse is putting them out. And then, apart from a few collecting things, Halo 5 and Game of Thrones stuff that they have, that's about it for Dark Horse. Pretty light month, I'd say. It's kind of not as heavy on the video game adaptations as it has been in the past little bit. A couple more cool collections coming out, so not a lot of things looking like they're shipping in May from Dark Horse, May through July, but it seems like what is shipping looks of a pretty high quality and looks pretty cool, so fine month from Dark Horse. Nothing mind-blowing, but consistently interesting stuff from them always. And now on to DC Comics. This looks pretty interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what DC puts out in the solicits for the next couple months, because they're basically in the middle right now of revealing their Rebirth line, which is the post-New 52 stuff that they're doing. And it looks like some of this is going to be dipping a little bit into it, but not quite fully. So let's see what we have going on in here. As the back cover shows, DC is going to be doing, they have the Hanna-Barbera properties, and they're going to be doing a few different series, looks like just these 2 in this book, sort of reviving those classic ones for a new audience. So Scooby Apocalypse looks interesting. Jim Lee is writing the story, actually, on it, partially at least. And it looks like it's going to be sort of, obviously, like Shaggy has tattoos and a beard and stuff, and everybody looks kind of different, and it looks like it's going to be like a reboot that is for a more quote-unquote modern hip audience of Scooby-Doo, to kind of introduce it to that. So that I am skeptical about. I'm not sure about that one. What looks more interesting to me is Future Quest. I think this is very cool. It's like a mash of all the properties of like Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, and was it Space Rangers? So it looks very cool. Like if you were into, I mean, I remember watching, Space Ghost and Johnny Quest and stuff on like Boomerang and when I was a little bit younger. So it has art from Doc Shaner, who I really like. Very, very nice artist, and I think his style will fit this book really well. So it looks like a cool crossover of all of the Hanna-Barbera, action-adventure properties. So that looks like it might be a cool thing to look out for. Most of these books from DC are probably going to be the last ones you see from them. Interestingly, they have a lot of the issue 51 and 52 numberings in here. And if you've been following Rebirth at all, what it seems like is after issue 52, I think it's starting in like the end of May after this, they're going to basically be renumbering everything with number ones and drastically reducing the number of books they actually put out. Because there's a lot of books right now that are being put out by DC, and I was listening to some of their comments from recent expos, and they were talking about how they felt like they've gone too wide in their net. They've cast it too wide, and they've lost the core audience. So, I mean, if you look at this, there's lots and lots of books coming out right now, but I don't think they're getting the numbers on them that they're hoping for, because they just have too many different types of books, and there's no real identity going on right now. So it sounds like what they're going to be doing instead is relaunching with only, I think, 32 books. Half of them are going to be monthly books, and half of them are going to be bi-monthly books. So a lot of these series that you see are going to be going away, I imagine. And instead, a lot of these side characters are going to be incorporated as supporting characters in the main books. So people like the We Are Robin, or people like the Teen Titans Hunt, or all of these kind of lesser popular, not mainstream books, I think a lot of them are going to be going away and instead play supporting roles in the more mainstream popular books. So be looking for DC to change up quite a bit in the next couple months, and this is probably the May shipments are probably the last you're going to see of this new 52 round of books. So after this, everything changes. In terms of collections, there's a Batman Golden Age Omnibus Volume 2. There was already a Volume 1, and it's not really for me. I like some Golden Age stuff for sure. I like the old 1930s, 40s, and 50s comic strips, like Sunday dailies, or Sundays, I guess. But it's hard for me to get into this old Batman stuff. It's not quite my speed. It's a little too. It shows its age a lot. It's of its time, and it's not my favorite thing. There's also going to be a Flash Silver Age Volume 1 trade paperback, which is cool. I don't know if there's an omnibus for this. I think there might be, but which has Carmine Infantino art. Very, very awesome. So if you did not get the omnibus, which I think is out there, then you can start picking it up in trade paperback form. Another Tales of the Batman book coming out. Tales of the Batman is a series that DC's been doing, sort of collecting like well-known runs from different artists and writers on the Batman property over the years. They're sort of just like regular size. They're not really deluxe or oversized or anything like super nice, but if you're interested in collecting classic Batman stories, this is another Tales from Batman by Alan Brennert. I don't know Alan Brennert, so maybe I should study up a little bit, because it's not a creator I'm familiar with. And here we get into Superman Golden Age Omnibus Volume 2. Again, just like the Batman one, DC is going back and putting out their old Golden Age properties in these nice omnibus formats. I think the first one is out of print and is becoming pretty expensive. So if you're into Golden Age stuff, you might want to pick this up when it comes out, because I don't know how much or how long DC keeps these in print. And I just flipped all the way through Vertigo's stuff and didn't really see anything that was that interesting. The only thing that I saw from Vertigo that's coming out is the Sandman Mystery Theater trade paperback. This is kind of cool, because I think this series has been, I don't really know if it's been collected, or if it's been collected it was a little harder to find. And this is the Wesley Dodds, it's like a side story to Neil Gaiman's Sandman, where Wesley Dodds becomes the Sandman in the 1930s during the time when Morpheus, the Neil Gaiman Sandman, is imprisoned. So this is it's kind of like a horror mystery take on Sandman, and if you're interested in picking that up, it's going to get a nice collection, because I don't think it's really been available before that. So, or at least, I found the issue, like the premiere issues, at some point in time. They weren't that hard to find, but this is an easier way to collect them for sure. And I think that's about it for Vertigo DC. Nothing that really stood out to me. I mean, the Hanna-Barbera stuff looks kind of interesting, and like I said, this is pretty much going to be the last time you see this volume of books being shipped by DC in the near future, as they trim down and refocus their energies. But in terms of collections, I don't think there was very much going on that interested me. Some Golden Age stuff, which may or may not be your thing, but that was about it. So after DC, of course, we get onto IDW, and we will see what they have for store this month. Looks like a lot of Back to the Future stuff, a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. Every month I say this, but I'll say it again, IDW is mostly property or licensed property stuff. X-Files is obviously very big right now with the miniseries coming back, so there's a whole guide to that. More Star Trek stuff. William Gibson, that's kind of cool. I like William Gibson as a writer, and I like Neuromancer and everything, so it looks like from science fiction superstar William Gibson comes to comics. Political leaders 2016 abandon the radioactive planet they've destroyed and harness the power of humanity's last hope, the Splitter, a colossal machine designed to manufacture a bright new reality. So that's cool. I mean, William Gibson does, if you've read Neuromancer or any of his other like short story work, he does kind of like cyberpunk. He did Matrix-esque stuff in a pre-Matrix time, so it looks like this might be kind of about something similar to that, like augmented reality or something, which allows you to like escape from the reality of the crappiness of Earth or something. So that's kind of cool. If you like William Gibson, it might be good to check that out. Some Transformers stuff. I did want to mention this. This is very interesting to me. The Transformers Classics Compendium Volume 1 contains the first 50 issues of the classic Transformers comic series, which is the Transformers comic series from Marvel. I know that there have been trade paperbacks released of this series from IDW, of the classic ones. I would like more for it to be a nice oversized hardcover like they've done with the G.I. Joe collections, but if we're doing this kind of 1,200 page compendium book, like trade paperback, I'll probably pick this up because I really do like the art from that time period when Marvel was working with licensed stuff like Transformers, G.I. Joe, ROM and the Space Knights or Micronauts or whatever it was. Like all that stuff I think is very, very cool, so I'm excited to pick that up and give it a read. And speaking of which, G.I. Joe, the Complete Collection, Volume 9 is coming out. So this collects 77 through 83 of Real American Hero and issues 14 through 19 of Special Missions. This is the nice, oversized book that IDW has been putting out, which collects the classic G.I. Joe run from Marvel, Larry Hama's run on G.I. Joe with a number of different artists. And it's very, very cool if you like that time period of art. I mean, I can't say it's for everybody, but it has like this kind of classic like swashbuckling G.I. Joe adventure in it, and I like it quite a bit. So far, just a bunch more licensed properties: Gems, Skylanders, the Donald Duck and Walt Disney stuff, Angry Birds and My Little Pony comics, some of this weird love stuff that they've been putting out, which is kind of cool. It's like it's the best of, or maybe the worst, I'm not even sure what you would want to call it. It collects like all of these outrageously weird romance comics from the 50s and 60s that are all having to do with like drugs and sex cults and I married a communist and all these crazy things. So if you're into kind of laughing at the craziness of these weird morality tales, like these romance morality tales from the 50s and 60s, the Weird Love series is definitely a cool one to check out. And here we get to IDW's artist edition for this month, which is Marvel Covers the Modern Edition, the Modern Era rather, which is pretty cool. IDW puts out artist editions almost every month. I think every month at least one actually, and they did have one before, which was the Marvel Covers, and I think that was from like 1960 up through I guess like 1980 or so, and then this is the last 25 years. So this has a Sam Keith and Todd McFarlane covers, so definitely guys who were well known in the 90s and then into the 2000s. So if you are more of a fan of, says, Arthur Adams, J. Scott Campbell, Alan Davis, Jim Lee, Sam Keith, Todd McFarlane, JR, plenty of really well-known modern comic book artists from Marvel. So if that is your time period that you really like, sort of 90s and onward, I think this is going to be an awesome collection for you. I'm still looking to pick up the original one. I know it says right here the original is going into a second printing because it was so popular, so that's a very cool thing if you just want to see these oversized covers without kind of story context. It literally is just covers and sort of artist ideas of covers and stuff. So if you are somebody who likes these big pinup drawings, then that'll be a very cool artist edition to pick up. And that's about it for IDW. A pretty decent month, mixed month. I mean, the G.I. Joe and the Transformers stuff is cool. This covers, Marvel covers is very neat, but, as always, mostly licensed stuff that is not totally appealing to me, so no really cool collections out there, but if you are into licensed properties, all of the different ones I mentioned in here, IDW has you covered. Alrighty then, on to Image Comics offerings for this month. As always, they're doing the different creators own whatever genre they're working in. So let's see what we got. This looks cool. I don't really know much about this. Renato Jones, the 1%, #1. Carrie Kyle Andrews, I believe, or Care Kyle Andrews. I believe this is the person that was doing the Iron Fist series after Brubaker, like the Immortal Iron Fist one that was really crazy and art focused. I'm pretty sure it's the same person. I really like the art on this, just in the little preview pages. It's a little dark. I mean, it's not the best printing because it's just in these previews, but this seems like a pretty... Oh yeah, here you go. Iron Fist, the Living Weapon. That's what it was called in Spider-Man Reign. So it's like a very, very fluid and almost... it's almost like if Paul Pope were less wishy-washy. That's just how I see it. Like, it kind of reminds me of the manga influence and the kind of like the kinetic energy that Paul Pope has in his stuff, but with a little more structure. Because a little bit, sometimes Paul Pope stuff, like after a little while, can get just a little sloppy looking to me. So I think this is a cool middle ground of that, and the double-sized first issue for $3.99, very awesome. Looking forward to reading that series when it comes out. Looks like it's going to be, it says, a capitalist action thriller for a post-Great Recession world. The super rich are super effed. So that's cool. It's kind of like a modern Robin Hood, I guess. So very neat. Here we have the next issue of Island. Island is a cool subject, or idea rather, in theory to me, more than it is in practice, at least the way I've read it so far. It's like it's sort of like a throwback to like a 70s or so anthology magazine. So it's Brandon Graham, who I think is best known for was it Nuclear Warheads, I think is his title, is his like long running one, or Multiple Warheads, sorry. So he gets together all of his like basically comics buddies, you know, the indie creators and stuff, and they sort of do these anthology magazines. This is the 7th one, so it has different. I really like the cover on that one. It looks very cool. It wouldn't look out of place in like a heavy metal magazine or something. So very awesome. I'm hoping that those get collected eventually somewhere. They are pretty big, oversized. There's a lot of pages in each issue, so. 72 to be exact in this one, so pretty cool. But I read the first one and it didn't really capture me that much. So I would like to read them as a whole and kind of get the story arcs together rather than having waiting month to month for little story arcs. And then on the opposite side over here, we have Manifest Destiny #19, which is very cool because I think I remember reading a little bit of buzz that people were worried about Manifest Destiny because it had been a while since the last arc wrapped up. So this is the start of a new arc, Sasquatch, Part 1 of 6. I have not read this series at all. There are 3 trade paperbacks out now, which means, in my estimation, that it should be getting a deluxe edition of the first 18 issues or so pretty soon. That's usually around when Image does it, something like that. You know, maybe even just like the first 10 or so, depending on which book. But #19 is coming out, which is cool. I've only heard really good things about this, and I like the art and the idea. It's kind of like Lewis and Clark story, except that actually there's like crazy beasts and magical things going on. So it's sort of like a fantastical version of the Lewis and Clark story. So if you are interested in that at all, check out Manifest Destiny. I know I'll be jumping on it when it gets collected in some form. This is kind of interesting to point out. This is the final Luther Strode book, The Legacy of Luther Strode, #6 of 6. I believe that there have been 3 series. I think there was like I don't know what they were called, but there have been 3 Luther Strode series, and this like mini series I think is about 5 or 6 issues each, and this is the last one. So I'm hoping that means that they're going to be collected in some way after this, because I know that there have been trade paperbacks for the other ones, but I'd like to see like a full Luther Strode series collection where I could kind of get the whole story in one go. Tradd Moore is a really, really cool artist. It has kind of this anime, like a Dragon Ball Z style is what a lot of people compare it to, and I think that's pretty accurate. I know he did some work with Marvel on Ghost Rider, the like reboot from a couple years ago, or maybe just a year ago, I'm not sure. But very cool to see this wrapping up to kind of put a cap on the whole thing and then get some kind of collection out the door so people can experience the whole shebang in one go. A lot of these mostly seem to just be single issues. Most of them are series that I have, you know, like I say every month, that I do want to read eventually, but just haven't been collected, so I have not gotten around to picking them up. But a lot of this stuff looks to be really high quality. This is a trade paperback collection. I don't like the art on that at all. Like that image to me right there, just total. Honestly, I don't even care what the book is about. Like that aesthetic style is just so bleh to me that I don't even I don't even want anything to do with that. Looks like a virtual reality game set loose in the real world. Like, you know, if that's something that you're interested, very cool, but not for me. This I am excited for. Deadly Class, Book 1 hardcover, Rick Remender and Wes Craig. I have not read this, but I do love Rick Remender, and this is sort of like a, you know, what's this area here? Damaged teens enroll a secret high school to become the world's greatest assassins. Presented a hardcover oversized format, 1 through 16, so the first 3 arcs. Like I was saying, that's usually what Image will do, or what the creators in the Image Comics tend to do, is they'll put out like about 3 trade paperbacks or 3 arcs worth of stuff and then collect it into a hardcover. So very nice to get this. I love that art on the front cover, and I am excited to jump into that. This is actually an advanced solicit for June instead of May, but 400 and some pages for $50, not a bad price, especially if you get it for discounted on direct services. So very, very nice to see that being collected, because I've had it recommended to me by quite a few people, so glad to see that one coming in a nice deluxe edition. Here's the Plutona trade paperback. This is a cool looking series. It's kind of like Stand By Me with superheroes, kind of like finding a body in the woods or something like that, but it turns out it's of a superhero, and then stuff goes on from there. All the people attached to this I really like. Jeff Lemire, obviously one of my favorites. Emmy Lennox, I've listened to her on some podcasts, and I've read a little bit of her kind of Emmytown webcomic stuff. It's a little too like twee for me, a little too, you know, nerd chic, whatever you want to call it. But this did look like a cool series. I thought it was a limited run or a limited series, like a miniseries, and it turns out it looks like it is. So this is going to be the 5-issue miniseries collected in a trade paperback, which is nice. I've heard good but not great things about it. Like everywhere that I've read, it's kind of uniformly gotten somewhere between like a 7 and an 8 kind of for each issue. So not like something that's going to knock you on your ass, but if you like the creators, a cool thing to check out. So if you're interested in kind of the teen coming of age stuff, this might be a good pickup for you, especially I know Jeff Lemire does that particular genre really well, so I'm jazzed to see this whole thing come together and read it in one just continuous arc, because that's how I prefer just sitting down and chunking through 5 issues in a night. So glad to get that in a collection coming out in May. And then there's a few more trade paperbacks. There's actually quite a few trade paperbacks in here. The Deadly Class Volume 4, so they're already on 17 through 21 in collected. The Jupiter Circle stuff. Stray Bullets. So Stray Bullets is something that I want to talk about on this channel, because the original Stray Bullets 40-issue series is one of my, bar none's, most favorite comic books I've ever read. I love it to death. It's so good. And I have not jumped onto any of the Stray Bullets. So let me back up a little bit. This, I believe, is a reprint of the original 1 through 40. So the original 1 through 40 was put out on El Capitan, which is David Lapham's, or Lapham, I'm not sure how you say it, his indie like label or indie publisher, and then Image and El Capitan together started putting out collections of the original 40-issue run, and then Lapham came back and started doing more series, like sort of, I think they're mini-series kind of, but more series in the Stray Bullets world. So I have read the original 40 issues, or is it 41 maybe, and I am looking, excuse me, looking forward to reading the ones that come after, but I'm waiting for them to be kind of completed and collected in something, like I say every 10 seconds in this video, but there have been Stray Bullets series after these 41. I think there was like Sunshine and Roses, and some there were a few, I don't remember what it was called, but there's been a few different story arcs after, so I am going to dive into those eventually. I think there's been maybe 1 or 2 trade paperbacks, maybe more than that, of the stuff that comes after issue 41, so I am looking to get into that, because the original 41 just blew me away when I saw it, when I read it. Absolutely love it. I would love to see that. I don't know. That's like, if I could write or sort of script out something, like this is such a, to me, iconic series for the way it's all tied together and scripted. I just, Stray Bullets, love it. Eventually I'll have a video on the Uber Alice collection and talk about the series a little bit more in depth, but very, very cool to see them keeping this in print and available to different people. And that pretty much checks it out for Image. Seems like a relatively good month. Lots and lots of stuff coming out and staying up to date on the collections and everything. So if you are an Image fan, the truck rolls on, and the train rolls on, or whatever you want to call it. Image keeps you provided with really high quality content. So very, very good month again, and excited to pick some of that up. And on to Marvel. Okie dokie, so as always, we have this little separate Marvel previews comic. This one's pretty thick. I did read that DC is going to start doing something like this. I don't know if it's going to be a 1 or 2 time thing for the Rebirth event, but I was listening to a podcast where they said that DC is going to also put in their own separate previews comic instead of being a section in the main catalog. So in the next couple months, these videos might change up a little bit as DC expands how much we get to see in the previews. So let's check out Marvel's previews. On the cover we have the Steve Rogers Captain America #1. There's a few other different big things, but Captain America seems to be a pretty good one. Nick Spencer, Jesus Saiz, I think. Saiz. Looks cool. I don't know anything about it. Punisher, this looks interesting. This is Becky Cloonan writing with Steve Dillon on art. I do not like Steve Dillon's art, just straight up. I'm reading my first Punisher series right now, which is the Jason Aaron Punisher Max Omnibus, which I have right next to me. I'm like yay far through it, so not that far, only probably like 10 issues in or something. But I really don't care for his art. It's quite blocky, and it's just not really to my liking. I don't think his paneling is particularly interesting, and I don't think it's rendered very well. But so I am kind of disappointed to see Steve Dillon sticking with this. I mean, I know he's done Punisher with Ennis and Punisher with Aaron. I would like to see somebody else take it on, because I'm just kind of tired of... I just don't want to see Steve Dillon stuff. But I think it could be very cool, just depending on what Becky Cloonan writes for the character, because Punisher tends to be a little bit more about kind of the writing and how depraved and crazy the writers are willing to go, rather than how the artists render it, as evidenced by the fact that Steve Dillon has been the Punisher artist for the last, I don't know, decade or whatever, and his art is not exactly out of this world. So, but new one starting, so that is very, very cool. If you are into Punisher, we're going to be getting a brand new series. Here we have a big new thing, the Civil War 2 #0. This is a Bendis penned Marvel event. Looks like it's going to be more cosmic focused than the previous ones. I think this is Captain Marvel and Gamora and War Machine and Iron Man, or is that She-Hulk? I don't know. I have to say, I'm sorry if I'm just like embarrassing myself with trying to identify these, but it looks like this is going to be, another Bendis thing. I mentioned in the last video that I made that I was sort of tired of Bendis being hands-on everything that Marvel does, and lo and behold, he is the scribe for the new Civil War as well. We'll see what it is. I'm not really sure what it's going to do, or if it's sort of just like a cash grab / capitalization on the Civil War movie coming out, the Captain America one. So maybe it's sort of to give some type of series for people to buy that are interested in Civil War content. I'm not really sure, but here it is, Civil War 2 #0, The Road to Civil War 2. Here's a little thing that looks interesting to me. Not Gwenpool, I told you how much I disliked that last time. This is a Daredevil Punisher #1 of 4, so it looks like there's going to be a Daredevil Punisher miniseries. This is going to be Charles Soule, who is the current writer of Daredevil already, and I don't know the artist, Simon Kudranski, but this is probably to be tapping into the fact that Netflix's Daredevil is going to be coming out, and it's going to have Punisher in it, so it's a good time to give somebody a Punisher Daredevil comic to read. But I'm excited to check this out, because, like I said, it will be somebody who's not Steve Dillon drawing Punisher, and I think Charles Soule is a really good writer, especially with Daredevil, from what I've heard from everybody. So that might be a cool little mini-series if you're into either one of those characters. So last time I mentioned, when we were talking about the Avengers, there was secret mission in I don't even remember. Standoff is what it's called. That's right. It's the first crossover event that Marvel's doing for their Avengers properties, which is the Standoff crossover, and it looks like this is the first X-Men crossover event that's happening in all new, all different, which is the Apocalypse Wars. So there's going to be Apocalypse War. It gives you like a little list right here through Extraordinary X-Men, All New X-Men, and Uncanny X-Men. So these are the couple issues that carry over the Apocalypse War stuff. Once again, if you're into event crossovers, then this is going to be the sort of reading order for it, and it's nice that it's contained to 3 different books, in my opinion. Like, it's nice to just have to read these 3 things and not have to worry about collecting like tons of offshoots. So could be cool if it's just a little self-contained event. I don't really know much about Age of Apocalypse. There's the movie coming out this year, and it's a 90s crossover, which I've heard it's very polarizing things for different people as being sort of an example of why the 90s were good and fun for comics, but also why the 90s were bad and excessive for comics. So not sure if I'm going to be checking it out, but if you're interested in the X-Men and crossover events here starting in May, it looks like there's going to be some crossover stuff for you. I thought I would mention, because I will go on record, and I have gone on record before on my podcast and on here, saying that I don't like Deadpool. I think he is a very... if you listen to the podcast that I do, episode 3, we talked about Deadpool, and I basically equated him to the McDonald's cheeseburger of comic books. He's something that's easy for everybody to get a taste for, and it's like convenient and kind of fun, but it's not good, in my opinion. I don't think it's very deep or interesting. But with the success of the movie, I thought I would mention that there are, in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then earlier a Spider-Man Deadpool book. I don't know if I'm going to find it right here, but so 6 Deadpool books. There you go, Spider-Man Deadpool number 5. So 6 Deadpool books in 1 month solicits. That's ridiculous and frustrating to me. I mean, I just I can't believe that there's that much interest in it. I just think it is I mean, there's other places for me to talk about this, and I don't need to talk about it on this. Go listen to the Get a Cat, Get a Horse episode 3 podcast if you're interested. But yeah, basically, I think Deadpool is lowering the bar and the common denominator for, or whatever it is, whatever the correct math term would be for comic books. I don't care for him, and it's frustrating for me to see this much kind of content being put out with Deadpool in the mix. Having said that, Declan Shalvey, I do like his art, and I do think that's a cool cover. So maybe I'm a hypocrite for liking the cover, but I do like that cover. The rest of the stuff, I just, and Mike Allred, I like his work too. So yeah, but don't want to see this much Deadpool. Let's stop this. That's a no bad. No. Here we get into some interesting stuff. So Bendis, Brian Michael Bendis, before he was Mr. Marvel, did a lot of indie crime stuff, and we're actually getting an omnibus from him. This is the Crime Noir omnibus. This is all stuff that he wrote and drew himself. So these are like super dark, crime noir, like it says, tales. And he wrote and drew them all, and they've been released in various paperback collections through the last, 10 years or whatever since they've been around. But it's kind of cool to have these all collected in a big, almost 1,200 page omnibus. So I'll pick this up. Bendis has a history with Marvel Omnibus of kind of getting the first volume out and then maybe not finishing it. Like Ultimate Spider-Man had that happen. People were wondering if it's going to happen with Powers right now. It happened with New Avengers. So I don't know what's going on with this guy and his collections, but right now this is going to come out. It's pretty much, I think, going to be a standalone thing. It's not like there's going to be multiple volumes of this. So this is very cool. September 2016, a very early solicit, but I am excited to pick that up. I did not expect that to be collected by Marvel. This is kind of an out of left field pick for me. Simultaneously, it looks like Scarlet, which I don't know much about, but I've heard good things about, is going to be picking back up. It says all previous orders have been canceled, which means it's basically being resolicited as number 8 and 9 by Alex Maleev and Bendis. So I will be excited to pick that up, especially if it kind of gets collected eventually. So that'll be very cool. This is awesome. Very excited for this stuff. This is the first hardcover collection of Star Wars and Star Wars Darth Vader. 2 series which I know have been really well received. Jason Aaron writing all the Star Wars, and then it was done by John Cassaday and Stuart Immonen. I like both of those guys quite a bit, and then Darth Vader was penciled by Salvador Larroca. I don't really love Salvador Larroca, but I think his art style will probably fit a Darth Vader book pretty well. Kind of like the sleek, I don't know what the word would be, the sleek mechanicalness of his art style. Like, I think it will be a nice fit for that. So very excited to pick these up. The first, how many is this? The first 12 issues of each one. So eventually, I'm sure we're going to get nice collections of these, and it's really cool that Marvel is keeping up with the Star Wars properties in such a good way. And I'm glad that these are getting collected. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 from the Marvel Now run. I have not read any of the Guardian stuff. I've heard it's pretty meh, so not sure if I'm going to be picking that up, but it's there if you would like it. The third oversized volume from Bendis' run on Marvel Now. And here's a bunch of really cool stuff. Well, some of it's really cool, some of it I don't really care about. Obviously, the Deadpool Minibus and the Deadpool Minibus 2, I don't really care that much about, but this one was out of print. These are sort of like really micro-size omnibus, and well, they're called Minibus. They're basically just like collections of a bunch of miniseries. So if you're into Deadpool, there's going to be two collections, a reprinting of the first one, and then this one coming out. And then this is really nice that Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2 is getting a new printing. Volume 1 is getting a new printing before this, so it's cool that if you pick up the Volume 1 printing, you'll be able to pick up the Volume 2 printing. So it's nice to see all of the Amazing Spider-Man being put out there again, because I know the first one especially was very expensive, and the second one I think was creeping up there in price. And then this is interesting because this is the third printing of the new X-Men Omnibus. I'm almost certain. I have the second printing. The first printing, I think, was one of the very first Omnis that Marvel did. So it's interesting to see an omnibus go into its third printing. That might have happened before. I think Daredevil might have had 3. Daredevil's going into its third. I think the Frank Miller Daredevil, it will be going into its third as well. So, you know, there's a lot of Marvel Omni out there that are very expensive on the secondary market. So hopefully this reprint section means that we're basically going to get almost all of the collections reprinted, and that maybe it'll make it more affordable to collect the stuff that you want to collect. On to more exciting things, really exciting things. This is a really, really good month for Marvel. The Jason Aaron and Russell Dauterman Thor. There's already been 2, maybe 3, 2. I'm trying to look at my bookshelf. 2 collections, oversized collections for Jason Aaron's run on Thor, and this is the Jason Aaron run on what people are calling Lady Thor, or whatever you want to call it. This is the second Thor series that Aaron was doing, and this is the 1 through 8 as well as annual number 1. So very, very awesome to get that collected to finish out Jason Aaron stuff. And then the Doctor Strange Omnibus. I am really excited for this. I think this is going to be awesome. This is it says Volume 1, so this is like the first kind of initial run of Doctor Strange stories and stuff, written by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, and then penciled by Steve Ditko. So basically, you know, in the mid-'60s when the Marvel comics were kicking off the Silver Age and really modernizing and changing the way we think about superheroes and stuff, Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby were the two that were just all over the place. You know, Steve Ditko with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and John Buscema was also there with Silver Surfer and a bunch of other stuff, but I think he was a little bit later. But and Jack Kirby with, you know, just a variety of stuff from Iron Man to Fantastic Four to X-Men to everything. But it's really cool to get this collected. This is kind of coinciding in time with the movie. This will collect Strange Tales 110, 111, 114 to 146, as well as Amazing Spider-Man. So this is going to be the first and hopefully a series of Doctor Strange omnibus. I think he's a really interesting character. I'm excited for the movie because I think it will be something different from Marvel Studios than the kind of typical superhero fare that we've been having in the last couple years. So very, very excited to see that. And then along with that is the Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu Omnibus Volume 2. Right over here. So Omnibus Volume 1 I think is coming out maybe in April. I don't remember. Maybe March, even sooner. But it's very cool to see them as quickly as this putting out Volume 2. This is supposed to be of 4 volumes, so it's nice to, you know, sometimes they take a long break between Volume 1 or just the second and third volumes never happen. Marvel's done that before, so very, very cool to get, you know, right very quickly. Volume 2, hopefully Volume 3 and 4 will be out by the end of this year. So through 2016, we'll basically have all of the Master of Kung Fu series collected, because there's some really good stuff penciled by Paul Galassi. I don't know. Sal Buscema, I do know, is awesome. Jim Craig, I like. Keith Pollard, I don't know. Mike Zeck is awesome. Pat Broderick, and they have Keith Pollard in there twice. That's interesting. I guess he did double duties on it, with the cover by John Cassaday. So excited to get into the Master of Kung Fu. The rest of this stuff I've already looked through, and it's all basically just trade paperbacks, which is fine. Nothing super interesting to me. Reprints of some of the old Punisher stuff that has gone out of print and is hard to find, especially the Punisher Max collections and the Punisher Born and stuff like that. So it looks like they're really getting geared up for some more of the Punisher stuff being popular, as well as obviously a bunch of Deadpool stuff. The NYX or Nyx Complete Collection, that's kind of neat. I know she's Wolverine right now. Spoilers, I guess. I mean, I don't even know really what that means because I haven't read the series. But if you're into that, there was a hardcover, but I think it was kind of hard to come by. So here's a good alternative for it. But basically, yeah, this killer month for Marvel. Very, very cool. I mean, everything that I listed, all those reprints, like that's a lot of content coming out May through. I mean, I know some of those are early solicits through September, but that's a whole lot of content coming out in the next 6 months from Marvel with reprints of things that people desire or are in demand, as well as new cool collections of classic stuff from Doctor Strange and that was loud, from Doctor Strange and Master of Kung Fu. So awesome to see that Marvel is curating its history as well as offering new stuff. This was one of the stronger months from Marvel I can think of in a little while, and I hope they keep that omnibus train rolling because there is some awesome stuff collected edition wise from them. Alrighty guys, so I've already spent a real solid amount of time on the rest of the solicits. I think we're probably in the 45-minute-ish range, so let's try to plug through these last couple ones as fast as we humanly can, and we'll see what we have going on. I'll just stop at some ones that seem interesting to me, but I flipped through it and I didn't see all that much in the back that was super interesting to me, so let's go for it and see if we can't knock this bad boy out. Here's one I wanted to stop at, although I don't know anything about it at all. It looks like there's going to be a Warren Ellis signed No Hero Deluxe box set. I don't even know what that series is. This is from Avatar Press, who I have not read anything from, but I think they do like the Crossed series. Yeah, down here. Which is, there's a lot of them. I don't know anything about them, but this is the Warren Ellis incredible superhero story which rocked the comics world and left unforgettable mark on readers. So it looks like there's going to be I think it says 45 books total, which is a little confusing because it seems like there's 7 like books in this set, but this is going to be a $150 signed limited edition box set, just 100 copies. So if you are a Warren Ellis fan, you might want to check that out. I like what I've read from Warren Ellis, but I don't know what No Hero is, so I can't particularly recommend it, but just thought I would throw that out there for you people who like signed and limited stuff. There's going to be a No Hero box set from Avatar and Warren Ellis, so go look it up if that's your jam. From Boom Studios, not a lot of stuff that I really read from them, but they do have the Volume 5 of Adventure Time Enchiridion edition, so if you are up on the Adventure Time stuff, these are like the oversized hardcover versions of Adventure Time, and there's been 5 of the regular ones, and I think there was one Enchiridion edition collecting like I think it's called Sugary Shorts, which is like just short, like one-shot comics, I think. So very cool if you are into Adventure Time like I am. I haven't read any of the Adventure Time comics, but I love the show so much that I need to get on them eventually. But yeah, number 5 is coming out in May. This is kind of interesting. Wanted to mention it. So Dynamite owns the rights to, I think, all of the old, like all of these series, the Flash Gordon, Prince Valiant, Phantom, all of these like Sunday comic strips, the sort of classic ones. Dynamite owns all the rights to these. I think they own like the Deja Thoris and John Carter stuff too. Or at least they have right now the rights to publish them. So there's going to be this new series called King's Quest, which is a crossover of everything. It says Flash Gordon, 2 Phantoms, Mandrake the Magician, Prince Valiant on a disastrous intergalactic rescue mission. So it's kind of like all of these classic properties. If you grew up or saw like reprints of them when you were younger in newspapers and Sunday comics, there's going to be a new series crossing over all of these action adventure titles. So I mean, I don't know if it's going to be any good, but it's kind of cool that they're using these characters for something that's not just reprints. So there you have it, King's Quest number 1. This is kind of interesting. I wanted to stop on it. I mean, I always stop on Humanoids. At least I try to every month if they have anything coming out. This one is an interesting one. It feels a little disingenuous to me. So they're calling this Mobius May, I guess. Like that the May month, I don't know, is related to Mobius for some reason. Maybe just alliteration. But all it really is it says like limited editions becoming more limited. They're not actually releasing anything new in regards to Mobius. This is all stuff that they've already had out, and then they kind of have these listings, and they list like the Black Ink Hall is already being sold out, and then this is like running low stock. It's weird to me to put that in previews. Like, I feel like previews should be, or is usually at least, um, new things and new exciting stuff to get, or new collections, and this is just kind of like, look, we have this stuff, and there's not much more of it, so come and get it. It is weird because simultaneous to this, like this month at the what was it called, PDX, I think, in Portland, there was the comic book retailers convention, and Dark Horse announced the Mobius library stuff that they're going to be doing, because as far as I can tell, Humanoids only has the rights to Mobius things that are done with Jodorowsky, because all of these are Jodorowsky stories which Mobius illustrated, but none of this stuff is Mobius specific. There's no Arzak, there's no Airtight Garage, there's no stuff that he's known for. So my feeling is that Dark Horse now has, through the Mobius estate, all of the stuff that Mobius has written and is contained within just him. And Humanoids only has stuff that is Jodorowsky and Mobius together. So it is kind of funny that it almost feels to me like, with Dark Horse announcing the Mobius library stuff, that Humanoids is going to start trying to use that as leverage to push some of their like stock of of Mobius things they have left. So that, I don't know, it just really stuck out to me as weird, because when I turned this page and saw Mobius Mayhem, I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to be releasing new stuff? And no, it's all just what they have currently in stock they're trying to sell through, I guess. So that was a little weird to me, but you got to do what you got to do. And the stars of the month, that they have are just Inkall and Madwoman, so things that have existed in print in and out of print, at least for quite a while. So, yeah. Also, Angel Claws Deluxe Edition, I guess there's going to be a new one of the Coffee Table book, which is another Jodorowsky Mobius one. So, if you're into the Jodorowsky Mobius collaborations, Inkall, Eyes of the Cat is really good. Madwoman and Angel Claws, they are here for you, but it doesn't look like there's going to be that much new stuff Mobius related coming out from Humanoid. So just wanted to point that out, because I thought it was a strange marketing move on their part, or at least a little bit disingenuous, it seems to me, because Mobius is now moving to, well, he's dead, but his stuff is going to be reprinted by Dark Horse. So looking forward to that, and I'll see what Humanoids has to offer in the next couple months, because right now seems like they're kind of treading water while they figure out what they're going to be doing. So Titan Comics, I've mentioned before, is like secretly a really good publisher of stuff. Apart from all of their licensed things in Doctor Who, they also put out really interesting arty and European and really very cool stuff. So this month, May, we have, finally, it's been quite a while, the third volume of the Michael Moorcock library from Titan, which so far has been collecting the Elric series, which has been done by P. Craig Russell, and I think Roy Thomas wrote it. Yeah, these are really, really cool books. They're not oversized, unfortunately, but they're only $15 for a standard size hardcover, and the art in them is really, really nice. So if you're into, you can sort of see this little preview page. It's really awesome. I've loved the first two volumes. So if you're into sword and sorcery, Michael Moorcock stuff, and you like these, I think a lot of these were published, I don't know who originally published these. It might have been Epic Comics for some of them. I don't know where the original Elric stuff came out. But if you are into P. Craig Russell stuff and into sword and sorcery, Elric as a character, and Michael Moorcock, I would really recommend going back and picking up the first two as well as this third one when it comes out, because they kick ass. Really, really, really high quality for the price and everything. So Titan, when they're not doing licensed properties, Titan has awesome stuff. I wish that they did more of the sort of weird side stuff that they do. Here's one to stop on and mention again, Vanguard Productions, which I have some of Vanguard's Frazetta stuff. They do like packagings and stuff. It seems like it might be stuff that's either public domain, or I don't know. It's pretty old. It's like older Frazetta and older stuff from different creators. But one of the creators that they have worked with is Wally Wood, or they worked with his stuff, and they're going to be putting out this month a Wally Wood Classic Tales of Torrid Romances. So if you're into Wally Wood, which he's really an awesome artist and a really good storyteller, and you also kind of like, I mentioned before, the weird love stuff, the kind of kitschy, morality, goofy romance comics, that'll be a cool collection to pick up. It's only $25 for a soft cover, and Vanguard Production stuff, at least what I have from them, is really high quality and nice kind of collector, made with collectors in mind, I guess. So, yeah, Wally Wood's Torrid Romance from Vanguard, another interesting selection. Vanguard doesn't put out very much. I wish they put out more because there's a lot of stuff I'd like to see them tackle from Wally Wood and Frazetta and some of the other EC Comics and Mad kind of guys. So, if you're into that kind of stuff, there it is. And I think, guys, that's about it for this month. I did skip over accidentally Rebellion. There is the volume 27 of the complete Judge Dredd case files, which I have collected only the first 3 or 4 of, but I think they're very cool. They collect all of the progs, which I think is what the magazines were called, which Judge Dredd was featured in, and we're on volume 27, so quite a long series of collected comics, but that's basically everything that I saw of interest. Not that much which stuck out to me in the comics and graphic novels, but that's okay because when I was going through the other stuff, obviously Marvel and DC and Image and things, there's lots and lots and lots to look forward to from collected comics editions this month. So I hope you guys enjoyed this flip through of the previews catalog. I try to bring them to you the end of every month, right after the books come out. If you liked this and would like to see more of this kind of stuff, collection videos, reviews, different hauls and stuff, please give me a subscribe to the Nerd Adventures channel. I would greatly appreciate it. I'd love some feedback in the comments. If you guys like these, I've heard mostly from people that they like the longer format ones. They like listening to me flipping through the whole thing. So I'm not really planning on cutting these down in length. I mean, I'm trying to keep them under or around an hour because it takes a while to flip through them depending on what's coming out each month. But if you want to get in touch with me, please leave a comment. Tell me about what you're looking forward to in May, and give me a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it. As always, you can find me on Tumblr at tumblr.com/thenerdventurer, where you can do the Ask Me Anything feature, and I will try as best as I can to get back to you quickly regarding any questions anybody has about collecting comics or about things that they should try to pick up or anything like that. And please, if you like listening to me and you like my channel, consider listening to the Get a Cat, Get a Horse podcast, which I've been putting out with fellow YouTuber Nerd How. It's a really, really fun podcast that we do. Right now it's been bi-monthly, but we're going to be moving the schedule up a little bit and doing some bonus episodes to make it a weekly podcast where we talk about comics and film and nerd culture and everything that I might cover on here. We also talk about on there, and it's really good. Lots of debate and discussion between Amani and I, who's the co-host. And yeah, you can find that on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/GetACatGetAHorse, or you can find it on iTunes by searching for Get a Cat, Get a Horse. And we will be moving on with that into 2016, putting out a whole bunch more content for people who like listening to us drone on about comics and stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be doing a collection update video coming up because it's been 6 months since my original collection tour, so I figured maybe every 6 months would be a good stopgap between to make sure that the videos don't get too long. So I hope you guys like this. I appreciate any likes, comments, subscribes, and yeah, check me out on all the other Tumblr and podcast things, and I will see you guys next time working on some comics reviews as well as, like I said, collection stuff. So always more things in the pipeline. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.